at Shadows.
Well, welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. Today is June 20. Let's say the 25th. Andy and Dan here. I'm Dan. This is the co-host Andy. Andy, how are you?
Good. Happy Friday afternoon to you.
We're in season 2, episode number 31 tonight. We're getting here to the end of June. Lots of baseball to talk about. Lots of sports. You know, before I know it, it's going to be NFL football camp coming up.
Yeah, I mentioned yesterday on the Page 2 episode. You could find that on the anchor there. Go back and listen to that one. Hockey's down to their Final Four for the NHL. Basketball's got their Final Four. Major League Baseball All-Star Game. It's kind of all hitting at the same couple weeks here, so it's kind of an exciting time.
I like it. I'm looking forward to it. I do have a trivia question for.
Yes, before we get into it deep, fire away.
Twins fans, including myself, have. It's very easy to rip on the Twins pitching, right? Kind of easy to do. It's kind of fair game. It's kind of low-hanging fruit. But my trivia question is, which two players lead the American League in ERA right now? Lowest ERA for starting pitchers that have qualified, have enough innings in. Who's the top two leading ERA pitchers in the American League as of yesterday?
It's kind of weird because we talk about deGrom and the Mets with his .5 ERA. You know, so much focus on that all the time in the news.
This is amazing.
That's interesting.
But it'll be interesting. You probably won't. The listeners probably won't guess. You can certainly go to Google and check it out and get the answer yourself, or just wait about 20 minutes. We'll have it for you.
All right. We'll dig into the sports stuff here. I do my thing here. Do that. Push my buttons here. And we'll get all loaded up here. There we are. Sports and songs. That's us. We'll start with NASCAR. It'll be this Saturday. The CBD 325 at Penco. Kyle Larson's just been unstoppable lately there. He's winning everything in the last 3 races, plus 4 if you count the All-Star race. So it's kind of fun to kind of watch him just kind of go out there and dominate if you're into that. Watching a guy just nonchalantly just goes to the front and leads. NASCAR, like I said, is the top 16 guys. If you win, you're in. So here's the guys with at least 1 win that are in so far for the rate. There you see Kyle Larson up there. Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin. All these top guys are up there. Hamlin does not have a win yet, but he's got so many points. He ranks up there, 3rd. Without a win, but he's up there above all the other guys. So he's got to do a lot to not be in. Here's the bottom half of the bracket. Yeah, Harvick, Reddick, and Austin Dillon is kind of the last man there. He's kind of there. He's doing okay. The guys below the line, you got Kurt Busch, Stenhouse, Matty DiBenedetto. I like that DiBenedetto. Him and Daniel Suarez. I'd like to see one of those two get a win and make it. I think that'd be kind of exciting if you could see some young bloods in there, see some fresh blood in there. It'd be kind of neat. Sean Ross announced a couple days ago or the other day on his Twitter that WWE might be making more cuts. Well, sure enough, right for the shows I was doing my prep, I got my tweet and they cut some more guys. Some of the names they cut, surprising, but not really surprising in a way. They cut Tyler Breeze and Fandango, who, if you follow the wrestling part, the tag team of Breezango is what they went by. And Tyler Breeze, you see him a lot on the Up, Down, Down channel for YouTube. That with all the video games on. He's a big video game guy on there. So I don't know if he could still be on that now because he's cut from WWE. That was the thing Austin Creed owns. Separate from it, but he only keeps just the WWE wrestlers on there, so we'll see how that works. Tyler Breeze also owns a wrestling school, Sean Spears from AEW. So maybe he'll go wrestle down there. Maybe he'll concentrate more on the school. Who knows? A couple other names you might recognize got released. Tony Nese was let go. And Ari Daivari. Name sounds familiar. His brother Sean Daivari. They're both from Plymouth. Are both trained in Plymouth by Ken Anderson and Shelton Benjamin from the University of Minnesota. So some local names there. Tony Nese used to wrestle in TNA before that, so I don't know if he'll go back there again or not. The Davari brothers, I don't know what they'll do. Ken Anderson's got some ties at the NWA. Maybe one of them will show up down there. We'll see what happens. But good luck to those gentlemen in their endeavors as WWE continues to cut people and cut salaries so they can be sold later this year. The Kraken, our second favorite hockey team. They found out the other day where they're going to be drafting, and now there he is, Dave Hochstahl, their head coach. New and first head coach for the Kraken. They have a head coach now. I'm sure his email box and voicemail is loaded to get interviews in. We have not heard back from Coach yet for an interview here. Then again, we haven't reached out to him yet either, so it's probably why he hasn't called us back. But we'll see if we can get Coach on for an interview. That'd be kind of neat. College World Series, we are loading it down there. Bracket 1, game started at 1 o'clock. I do not know how it went. I'm watching it later, so do not tell me, Dan, if you know. Vanderbilt and North Carolina State played. Double elimination. Vanderbilt already has the one loss. As you see there, they came from the elimination bracket. And they would play again then tomorrow, if need be. Like I said, I popped off and I picked Vanderbilt to win. So I'm kind of hoping they do here. They will face the winner of Mississippi State, Texas. Texas coming up for the losers bracket. They play tonight, so Texas needs to win twice to advance. As you can see, Virginia was my other pick. They won the first game. I was feeling pretty cocky there with that one, and they lost 2 in a row. So I still got one horse in the race. College Baseball World Series. It is a fun time to watch. If you get a chance, check out the ESPN family of networks for the games. Major League Baseball. Here we go. Some Major League Baseball stuff. We'll talk about ERAs. There's deGrom's ERA on his path to history, as they're calling it. And this is off Major League Baseball's website, not the Mets website. So don't think I'm being a total Mets rube here. But deGrom's at a .5 right now. Guns was low. Bob Gibson's low at 68. Of course, who can forget Dutch Leonard in 1914 with the Red Sox? But it's kind of fun to see. You hope he stays below 2 the whole time, just to kind of say you saw one of the best ever. You don't see this every time. Gooden had that 1.53 ERA. He never got close to that again. Gibson had the 1 year, great, never again. So hopefully we kind of see some kind of history here. It'd be kind of neat. There was another no-hitter in baseball last night. The Cubs had a team no-hitter. The funny thing is the pitchers, we always say pitchers, especially relief pitchers, they're a whole different animal. Kimbrel, the guy who came in and got the last out for the Cubs, said he wasn't aware it was a no-hitter until he saw everybody coming off the bench and heard people saying stuff to him. I call a little BS on that, but that's me.
Awesome.
And he's the guy with the goofy stance with his arm hanging off to the side.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll get more into him later, but yeah, he's a little bit of a different character. He's no Turk Wendell when it comes to being crazy, but he's out there. You see, Bowler got his first loss for the Dodgers in that game, so you got to no-hit the team to make him lose. He's doing pretty good this year, but record for most no-hitters in a season at 9 now with this one. They're still not counting the Madison Bumgarner one. So we're halfway through. We're seeing no-hitters. Usually around now you don't see too many, though, because everybody's got their stuff in. So it's kind of an interesting factoid there. Another fact on Mets site that I saw, Tyler Miguel made his pitching debut for the Mets the other day. He's a 12th starter in the first 69 games. During the last full season in 2019, the Mets used just 9 different starting pitchers all year. And we're, like you said, not even halfway through, and they've gone through 12 already. And I feel sorry for Tyler. He came up with the whole his first start was right after the ump start checking up pitchers all the time. So here, his first major league start, he's at home, he's at Citi Field, life is good. They're pulling him out. He comes, gives a little tip to the cap to the crowd. Here come the umpires to check his glove and cap, and the New York faithful turned on the umpires pretty quick there. Lots of language was used that we can't repeat. Standings now for baseball as we get into it here. Tampa Bay still up there holding the first. This is as of this morning. This was halfway through my first cup of coffee. I put on these that early this morning. So any games this afternoon are not affected here. Tampa Bay holding that half-game lead over Boston. Yankees are 4 out and Toronto 5.5. Thanks, Baltimore, for playing. Chi Sox 2 games up on Cleveland. Kansas City 10.5 out, 7 games below 500. It's really the White Sox and Cleveland's race right now. The rest of us are just along for the ride. AL West. Houston, now here. Oakland's 2 back. Seattle 2 games above 500. They're 5.5 out in the wild card. They can make it exciting. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. But Houston's won 11 in a row. Now, we said earlier this year, or I popped off earlier this year and said, hey, if you can win 10 in a row and then play 500, you got it won. Well, the A's did that. Well, now Houston's trumped them by going 11 in a row. So this is going to be exciting. Someone's going to prove me wrong here now with their winning 10 in a row and not winning the division. Maybe they'll tie and have a playoff game. That way I can still be right. But 2 teams with big, long winning streaks sitting there holding their own. We'll see how it works out. National League. Mets holding a 3.5 game lead over the Nationals coming out of nowhere, 9-1 last 10 games, 5-game winning streak. Mets still have one of the biggest leads in baseball, about 5.5. And the Nationals are at 500 right now. But like we said last week, the Mets are making up a bunch of games right now from the flu outbreak at the beginning of the year and some weather. So I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying when the All-Star break comes, the Mets will be caught up with the rest of the division on games played. So either we keep being cocky as a Mets fans or we could go, oh. So we'll see what happens there. National League Central. St. Louis is 3 games below 500, but they're still 6 out. But they're still the St. Louis Cardinals. You really can never count them out. Cincinnati, a game above 500, doing very well. The whole division, you look at the last 10 games, Cincinnati's only going to play 500. So they picked up a game in the last week and a half. Cincinnati, when they were in town with the Twins this weekend, they had a nice thing from Mike Bell and his family. That was interesting and a nice way they did it because Mike Bell, former bench coach for the Twins, passed away at the beginning of the season. And you go, well, why would they wait till the middle of the year when Cincinnati's in town? Well, his brothers, Buddy Bell and Gus Bell, are part of the Cincinnati organization, and Mike was with that organization also. So they did it when they were all in town, and that was kind of a nice thing to do there, everybody at one time. National League West, wow, 4.5 games lead. The Padres are now the hot team. The Dodgers are dropping. Arizona, I think they're like Baltimore. They're going to start selling guys pretty soon here. And one name I want to bring up for Arizona, I brought up earlier, Madison Bumgarner. He's on the IL right now. He did throw the 7-inning no-hitter. He hasn't done the last couple of years, but if you're a team like the Mets, you take a chance on the veteran lefty and use him as your 5th starter for the rest of the season to give you guys to help eat up innings, maybe a long reliever in the bullpen. He's got the playoff experience. He's got the rings. He can maybe eat up innings so deGrom can get a rest if he's having issues and shaky. I just want to say I think Bumgarner will not be in an Arizona D-backs uniform come playoff time. He will be on a playoff team. Mark your calendars. Andy's calling his shot right now. Minor League Baseball. Was going to give the updates here for a couple the divisions here. Here's the AAA East Midwest Division. There's the Saints, 11 games out, 5th place in their division, 20-24. Just so you start seeing where they're at and some other names coming up. Cubs are in last. And in the Northeast, the Syracuse Mets are 20 games out, 22 below 500. 15-game losing streak. And what's weird is the Mets have to keep calling up AAA guys, and the Mets are in first place, but the AAA team is on a 15-game losing streak. So that's why we play the games, I guess. We don't just play them on paper. Instant replay. This is from basketball. And there's an instance in a basketball game, the playoff game the other day. Instant replay, and not getting into what the play was or anything else, but the part that caught my attention and kind of always bothers me. Basketball and football are the worst at it. Hockey has like very few replays, so I'm sure they do it too. When there's replay, all the players go over and talk to the coach. So it's like a free timeout. In this NBA playoff game the other day, that team was out of timeouts. They go to a replay. Funny, they got to go talk to the players, got to go talk to the coach and drop a play. I think in football, basketball, hockey, if they're on an instant replay, kind of take the rules from boxing. Go to the opposite corner. If it's the Timberwolves and the Milwaukee Bucks playing, the Timberwolves have to go like the opposite end of the floor, like kitty corner away from where their bench is. Oh, sure, you got signals for plays. You could try to do something, but that ain't going to work. Not that well at all. But you just go opposite corner. The Bucks go to the opposite corner across from the Timberwolves bench. You're giving teams a free timeout. Not a fan of that part. It's kind of taking advantage of it. A coach can bark and ask for them to review it. They do. You just got a free timeout. So they got to change that rule. My opinion, it's kind of cheating, or doesn't cheat in the game or anything. It's kind of takes away from what the replay's for. And you thought that was my soapbox, kids. I'm just getting started. This is from Sports Illustrated, all the sticky stuff on baseball. We talked about it with Tyler earlier with the Mets. Players are getting checked. The starters can get checked. Reliever gets checked every time they come out or into a game. Pitchers get checked when they're pulled, end of a game. And as we saw when it first started with Max Scherzer, Joe Girardi kept asking him to get checked like 3 times. He got checked. And they were just getting upset. And we almost had a player-manager fight, which would have been kind of cool. But these managers do it to kind of you're messing with the player's head by doing that all the time, which that's part of the deal. I guess they're going to do that. But in baseball, you're allowed so many challenges for a replay. You should be only allowed so many challenges to have the pitcher checked besides the umps doing the regular check. If you know that, usually it would be like 1 extra time to have him looked at. Or else you can do this all day long. Baseball's just getting to the fact where they're speeding the game up. And now you're throwing this in to slow it down. Now, it's not in between inning breaks, so it's not like in between at-bats where they could do it. You have to do it at inning breaks. But still, I mean, yeah, we're not going to see great pictures like this of Joe Niekro throwing his emery board off to the side, as us Twins fans remember. Or, you're not going to see something like that. Or Gaylord Perry wrote a book about cheating. We've all seen Major League where the guy's got the KY ball and the Vaseline ball and all the other junk he's got on it. Gaylord Perry admitted he did it. They put him in the Hall of Fame. Yet you want to put a couple bucks down on a game or take some muscle builder, and heaven forbid you can't do that. I heard Buck Showalter, ex-manager and now announcer there day for a game when they're talking about this. He brought up a great point. He goes, all right, pitchers can't do that. Neither can the batters. Just take your bat and bare hands. No tape, no gloves, no stick 'em, no nothing. If they can't grip the ball, you can't grip the bat. Go up there and see what happens. I thought that was kind of fair. How many times you see these batters? They got Manny Ramirez is the worst. Their hat's basically black with tar. They got patches on their shirts to grab all over the place for pine tar. So the batters can get a good grip, but the pitchers can't. We'll see. On to some music news here now. I got some music things to cover. The Struts. If you've never heard of them, you got to look them up. Pretty good band out of England. They're on tour. Strange Days is their new album. Just came out. They'll be on tour. They will be in St. Paul on September 18th. You can check them out down in St. Paul at the Palace, I believe they're playing. Terry Clark. I don't do a lot of country, but I like Terry Clark. She's okay. Local gal. She lives up here part-time when she's not in Nashville. You see, she's got a lot of Minnesota dates there. Detroit Lakes, Twin Lakes, Wisconsin, then Fountain, Minnesota, Alexandria, Minnesota. Before she hits the rest of her tour there, she has come back to North Dakota to Fort Yates in October. But yeah, Terry Clark, a good country music gal. If you listen to her, I enjoy it. And Johnny Cash. Yes, there's a lot of other pictures of Johnny Cash online and memes I could have used, but I didn't. Johnny Cash has a new album, a new live album coming out, recorded April 24th, 1968, in San Francisco at the Haight-Ashbury Studios. Johnny Cash called At the Carousel Ballroom. It will be released September 24th, so it's probably sure not any new music, but just a different type of recording setting from Mr. Johnny Cash. So that will be exciting, I think, right there to listen to for those of you who are Johnny Cash fans, as I am. But so there's that. That's what I got. You, Dan, being the ball player, what do you think of the whole Stickum thing? Do you agree with what Buck said? Hey, if the pitchers can't use it, batters shouldn't use pine tar either. So you go a little overboard being defensive.
I was surprised actually on how prevalent the use of substance is for pitchers. I didn't know. I thought a handful of them used it here and there, try to get away with it, and they're like, no, we have to use it. It's part of our deal. That's part of our shtick. So that was news to me. Now I'm not a pitcher, so I'm not in that company, so I don't know how prevalent it is. For me, it's you get the ball and you throw the ball. You shouldn't be putting anything on it. You're going to get a better bat at the grip on the bat. I don't know. I don't care. Some people like it or not, but the whole thing, it slows everything down. But it was surprising to me. I think it was Tyler Glasnow who said that,
Yes,
that's what we do.
Yeah, I mentioned that last week. Yeah.
And so I didn't know it was that prevalent. I know that, Josh Donaldson said, I've got evidence of different guys using it over the years. And that caused a big stir. And now the pitchers are coming on saying, you can't hold us back. You can't restrict us. That's what we need to do. So,
well, that picture for the Cubs I talked about that has his arm hang out there goofy like that.
Yep.
There's a picture of him when he was with Boston, had the pine tar right here on the side of his hand. You could see it. So he's been caught doing it. Guys have been caught doing it. You always see them go to their hat and that. And to me, a lot of them, it's just a superstition. I said, pitchers are goofy people. I forget the name of the player. There's a guy back 60s or 50s. They asked him to go, hey, before you pitch, you always tug on your opposite shirt sleeve. Why do you do that? He says, I don't do that. He wasn't aware he was doing it. They showed him the tape and he didn't believe it.
They all have the same
they're going to their hat or their routine. It's a nervous habit, I think.
Between every pitch and whether it's a deep a breath or something. Everyone's got their. You always see in the winter, they always ask if they could blow in their hands or lick their fingers. That's okay, but
but
if they're
not going to let the pitchers. Yep. If they're not going to let the pitchers
impacts the spin rate and all these new metrics that they're getting into now for pitching, and so I already think it'd be hard enough to hit a ball at the major league level without knowing what's even coming, and it's more of a cheating, I think, with what Houston is doing when they knew what pitch was coming. That's something that irked me. But you're gonna put on a little.
They say spin rate is down. They say spin rate's down. They're checking everybody, and now we have no hitter from it. I just say pitchers are saying they use it, but they're not fighting anybody yet. Let's do that in the All-Star game. They can bring out their little bucket of substance they want by the mound. If they want to put whatever they want on them, let them do it in the All-Star game. That's what's supposed to be the best of the best, and it's an exhibition anyway. And have, like in the movie Major League, KY ball, and just here it's coming in. We're using pine tar this inning or whatever. I look at it this way. Greg Maddux, did he use it? With that pinpoint control? Pedro Martinez, did he use it? Who knows? And you know what? Who cares? Bobby Heenan, the wrestling manager, said, win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. Now, to a point, that's what they do in pro sports nowadays. If you can get away with putting a little something on your fingers, they're not going to catch it. Well, it's not cheating if you're not caught. And sadly, that's the way the mentality a lot of it went. I think I got no problem with them putting stuff on there to grip the ball better. Because really, in a way, if that ball stays in play, and the next guy's using it. back in the mid 80s with Mike Scott when he was scuffing balls all the time. One pitcher came out and said, hey, I went out and pitched after Mike Scott got done and the ball was still there. He goes, I saw the scuffs on it. He goes, I threw the best inning of my life afterwards. So if you watch baseball now, they're starting this year, every time the pitch hits the dirt before it comes in, they throw it out right away.
Yeah, they're throwing out every other pitch.
Yep. I'd love to know how many baseballs they go through in a game. So
if someone knows, send that in as a comment. I'd like to know how many, and they gotta rub them all down before the game begins too. And
see that they do it in the NFL now. They started that a couple years ago with Peyton Manning. He brought up the two quarterbacks that go and dirty up the balls before the game and do whatever they want. Let the pitchers from both teams get together and go, here's the buckets of balls we're going to use today. Do what you want. They want to loosen the stitches on all of them. They want to dip them in glue, whatever. Everybody's using the same ball. You know,
I like that.
I'm okay with that. And if you know he's using it, then does the pitcher still have the advantage if you know he's using it? It's that whole mind game with sports. Oh, here I'm going to use a ball where it's scuffed. Or is it? Okay, I have it. And how many of these pitchers with a scuffed ball know how do you throw a scuffed ball anyway? Hey, wait, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm not used to that, you know. But
I think the difference is you mentioned Necro earlier.
Yep.
There was guys using foreign objects to alter the baseball. Now they're using the foreign substances to impact, the spin and the rate. So,
and Negro's was, I believe Joe Negro, because Joe and Phil Negro would never lie. He had an emery board. He was not pulling an emery board out of his back pocket during a game to foul the ball. He threw a knuckleball. It was to keep his nails filed during the game, when he was on the bench. Yeah, he's going to pull a foul out of his back pocket. Whatever.
In between, yeah.
But, yeah, it's getting interesting. No one's been caught yet. I'm kind of waiting to see the first guy get caught. And what
it's going to set the precedent, of course.
Yeah, they made one pitcher change gloves, and he still did fine afterwards. They've had other pitchers made them change their hat because they thought something was on there. All right, fine, I'll wear another hat, whatever. So I said, when they all do this, I think it's just a nervous habit they do. They've done it since they were 12 because they saw another pitcher on TV do it, so they got to do it. I see nothing in it, but I want to see if they're going to make the batters pull back on all the black tar on their hat and their sleeve. I mean, was it Nelson Cruz's shoulder from the pine tar when he sets the bat on his shoulder all the time? Or certain power hitters, you see that on there.
Justin Turner.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. I'm kind of interested to see how it goes. Not that I want somebody to get caught cheating. I'm not wishing ill on anybody, but okay, the first guy caught, I want to hear the excuses. Oh, I used someone else's hat. Oh, that was another guy's glove. Oh, I shook hands with the batter afterwards. I didn't mean to get stuff on my hand. I saw one sign a guy had a game that said players must wash their hands before going to the mound. The fans are having fun with it already too. So,
well, maybe we have a guest, an interview in the next couple of weeks with the pitching background, and just say what is it? What's the story?
If you got a hook or somebody that could enlighten us, how much difference does it make to you? Is it stuff like that? But speaking of pitching and ERAs, you had a trivia question, sir.
The trivia question today was name the two best pitchers in the American League that have the lowest ERA. Starting pitchers.
Garrett Cole's got to be one of them.
Gary who?
Garrett Cole of the Yankees.
Garrett Cole. He's up there.
Okay.
But he's not the top two. The top two in the American League right now, the best two pitchers for ERA in the American League is Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson, both former Twins.
Wow.
Kyle Gibson, Texas, is 5-0 with the second best ERA in the league. And like I said earlier, it's fun to rip on Twins pitching because whoever we have, the common phrase is let's get rid of them, let's get some new pitching, let's get some good pitching. And so we start dumping these guys finally. Kyle Gibson, a former number 1 draft pick for the Twins.
Yep.
Finally got rid of him. Average pitcher for many, many years. And now he's 5-0 with the 2 ERA. Lance Lynn, we had him just that 1 year. He's a former Yankee. Bounced around a little bit, but he is as old as he's getting, has the best ERA. quietly goes about his business. One of the most effective pitchers in the American League. That was the trivia question.
Unreal.
Now I've got some baseball updates.
Yes.
Now you mentioned Major League Baseball and the timing and how quickly we're going through the season. After this coming weekend's games, we will be halfway through the season. The teams will have 81 games in after this weekend already. So now we'll be talking, like you had mentioned, trade deadlines, trade baits, teams buying, selling. The All-Star game will be the focus here this next couple of weeks. But then we get the pennant run. It's going to go awfully fast.
Yes.
Here, the teams that aren't in it are going to start playing some of their backups, some of their subs, some of their prospects to get them in, which is always fun. And the teams that are in the hunt is going to be some good baseball. And so we'll see if injuries come into play on down the stretch. Now, local Minnesota pitcher Brad Hand from Chaska.
The Chaska.
He's now a reliever, the closer with the Washington Nationals. And he's another one, doesn't make much news, but he's got 16 saves coming out of the bullpen for the Nationals. Good for 7th place in all of Major League Baseball right now. So he's a top 10 reliever, quietly going about his business as well. Now, amateur baseball. We covered the Town Ball Tour, Fox 9, last couple of weeks. You were in Delano 2 weeks ago. I went to the St. Patrick one last week. And that was pretty good. Once again, they do a good job. There's only 2, I think, weeks left, and they're done already. They do 7 for the season. It goes quickly, but they do a really good job out there. Now, speaking of St. Patrick, for those of you that don't know, they finished 2nd in the state last year for Class C. St. Patrick, small town between Prairie Lake and New Prague. Finished 2nd. Went to the finals, championship game. Got beat. They are sitting also ranked number 2 right now in the state for Class C. Of course, because of how they did and the guys that they've got. But they made a new addition this past week. New addition. Now, this colleges are wrapping up. St. Patrick's known for having a bunch of Mankato State University Mavericks.
Yep.
A lot of Mavericks on that team. Well, they got another one. Eden Prairie High School graduate Trevor Davinsky from Eden Prairie, pitching down in Mankato State, finished his junior season. The guy's got a 10-2 lifetime record pitching on the mound for Mankato State. Pitched in the Northwoods League for Wilmer a couple years back. Decided, you know what? I got some friends on that team. I'm going to go play for St. Patrick as well. They signed him up. The Mankato State season's done. They've added him to their arsenal. So they've got Ryan Freeges, Mankato State Maverick.
Yep.
This last week, they snapped his streak of hitting 6 home runs in a 5-game period this last week in DRS baseball. 6 home runs in a 5-game stretch. Power hitting. You got Jack Freeges, also Mankato State Maverick. The season closed up. They finished, I think, 39-10 this year for the Mavericks in Division II. And you got Colin Dank. Colin Dank is he's third All-American, third team All-American for the Mavericks. As a pitcher, Colin Dank. He's with that St. Patrick Irish team as well. And now they've got Luke Tupy pitching for St. Cloud State is on their team as well. A lefty. And then coming up, they added new this year, Cal Bromer, Lakeville South graduate, just graduated this last year. He's going to go committed to Concordia St. Paul next year. Cal Bromer. So this team is stacked, and that's why I think that they are that good. I didn't know that many guys on that team. I know they had a bunch of college studs on that team that are actively playing. The rest of their lineup is made up of former college players. It's like a minor league team right there. So that's going to be fun. In amateur baseball, there's only, after this weekend, a month to go in the regular season. We're going to be counting down. There's going to be 4 weeks left. It's going to be time for regions, playoffs, state tournament. So we're really in the thick of it now for amateur. The over 35 Federal League tomorrow, Saturday, 26th of June is their All-Star game. They announced the rosters. I'm going to put them on the Facebook page. Rosters have been announced for the annual All-Star game. This is for 35 and over. And once again, the caliber of the guys at this league now are typically made up of former college guys.
Right.
That's this Saturday. That's also hosted at St. Patrick. Is going to host that All-Star game, the Federal League. That should be fun. That's all I've got for sports. Fun weekend ahead.
Yeah, it should be exciting. And town ball is so fun to go to. I don't care if it's the over 35 or the Legion ball or your good high school teams. It's just fun ball to watch because.
And the Waconia Lakers here, number one, now have moved up to the number one team in the state of Minnesota for Class C. And that's another team that's just loaded. They've got all their guys back from college as well. So this Class C is my personal favorite. Class B is very good, but boy, this Class C is some fun stuff to watch. And the teams here in Carver County, Pearl River Valley League is pretty good stuff. But that's what I've got for sports. We'll be covering all that and more next week on the show, and also on my midweek bonus show.
Your Wednesday show on the YouTube channel.
Wednesday
so as
on
you're
YouTube.
Games, what have you been listening to in the car radio on your 8-track player? As you
8-track player this week. Album review. This week is Foo Fighters, the album One by One. I'm going to bring it up here. Share it on the screen. Very impactful album for me, of course, one of those that really interesting. One by One was the fourth studio album by American rock band Foo Fighters, released October 22nd, 2002. Now, production on the album was troubled, with initial recording sessions considered unsatisfactory and raising tensions between the band members. They eventually went on to redo the album from scratch during a 2-week period at Dave Grohl's home studio in Alexandria, Virginia. The album includes the successful singles All My Life, Times Like These. It's been noted with the introspective lyrics with a heavier, more aggressive sound compared to the band's earlier work, which Grohl said was intended to translate the energy of a Foo Fighters live performance into a recording. And for those who know, the first three albums are kind of a slower, more mainstream. I wouldn't call them poppy, but they're more kind of rock. This is a hard rock album here. Their last album was There's Nothing Left to Lose. This was done in 1999. Right after that was done, Dave Grohl began working on new material for the band's next album in early 2000. They started getting everything together. They put the album together. They were not happy with it. It had 10 songs. And they said, you know what? I think 5 of these songs are actually good, and the other 5 are throwaway songs. So they didn't want to promote the album because they didn't have confidence in it. Their manager, John Silva, listened to the recordings, and he agreed that it was not a work that represented the band well. And he goes, we certainly can release it now, but I don't know if anyone would want to even buy it. So they said, you know what? This isn't going to work. These 10 songs, we got to scrap them. In the meantime, they're playing some European festival, and their drummer, Taylor Hawkins, suffered a heroin overdose that left him in a coma for 2 weeks. He needed some time to take off. During this time, Foo Fighters frontman Dave Grohl accepted an offer to play drums for the band called Queens of the Stone Age. They were coming out with their new album called Songs for the Deaf. So they kind of took a hiatus. Now, keep in mind, these 10 songs that they recorded that all got scrapped took 4 months in the recording studios and cost the band $1 million in studio time to do this. $1 million and 4 months in expensive studios. Well, later on, Dave Grohl decided to take a 2-week period break before the next tour with Queens of the Stone Age. And he asked the drummer, Taylor Hawkins, he says, let's rework some of these songs. I'm going to take a 2-week break. Got together. They went to Virginia to redo the drum, vocal, and the guitar tracks over a 12-day period. After that, they bring in the bass and the guitarist and they said, let's record your parts in a Los Angeles studio, and we'll mix it all together and call it good. Well, the album, as you know, was one of the best albums. Here's the tracks. Track 1, All My Life. Song 2 is Low. Song 3 is Have It All. 4 is Times Like These. The lyrics for Times Like These goes over a lot of the frustrations I think the band was going through at the time. They got into heated arguments, and I'm not going to say as far as fist fights, but the arguments that broke out during this first recording session was something I didn't know about until I read this information for this review. Song 5 is Disenchanted Lullaby. Song 6 is Tired of You. Tired of You features a guest appearance on guitar by Brian May of Queen. Song 7 is Halo. Song 8, Lonely as You. Song 9, Overdrive. Song 10, Burn Away. Song 11, and the final song, Come Back. Total length is 55 minutes, 11 seconds. This went single platinum in the US, double platinum worldwide. This was some good stuff. Dave Grohl, of course, lead vocals, Nate Mendel on bass, Taylor Hawkins drums, and Chris Shiflett appears on lead guitar for the first time. First album he's on. He wasn't on the first 3 solo albums, studio albums by the Foo Fighters, but he was on this one, and this was his first appearance. Now, the big song was All My Life. Dave Grohl said, quote, "We had already spent 3 months and $1 million on something that we ended up throwing away." He said the difference between All My Life and All My Life, the same song, was that this one cost $1 million and sounded like crap, while the one we did in my basement for a half hour became the biggest effing song the band ever had. So that's they did it quick. They put it together, and it sounds good because it's a very heavy song. The 11 tracks, Grohl goes on to say that they're all really 11 songs are 11 tortured love songs, with a major theme of surrendering to yourself and a sequencing that described the difficult beginnings of falling in love, and then the relief of feeling comfortable in love. A major inspiration was Grohl's new girlfriend, Jordan Bloom, as well as the troubled times with the band, such as the song lyrics in Troubled Times Like These. Now, the album cover here, as you're looking at, is white in black with the heart for One by One. They also issued it in a black album cover with the heart in white and the font lettering in white. 2 different versions, black and white. Grammy Awards. All My Life, that song won Best Hard Rock Performance in 2003. And the album overall in the year 2004 for the Grammys, they won the Best Rock Album. This album was Best Rock Album. And I think the trouble that Grohl had was they had a lot of good studio songs, but then they were such a wild band in concert, and he wanted to translate that. They had hard songs to put together in the concert, but they had great songs in studio. This album, Dave Grohl says that this album, you can almost play it beginning to end in a concert setting, and people would love it. Every song is that good.
Yeah, I just gotta say to Dave Grohl and them, I'll only charge you $50K a month here for the Shadow Studios to record next time. Save you some money.
Yes.
As you can see, we have a fully stocked bar behind me. $50K a month here at the Shadow Studios. Just Dave, the Mother Nature has to be done outside. That's all I'm gonna say.
And so the producer said too, it was so expensive to make, and it had to be just perfect. They said it sounds so produced, it sounds so almost too perfect, and this is not what we want. It was stressing everybody out. The product wasn't even good. They were at each other's throats.
That's not them either. That perfect sound's not them. That's part of what made them cool, I thought.
Yeah, and coming from Grohl, coming from Nirvana in the grunge scene, all of your music was imperfect. That's the whole point of the grunge.
Right.
So they were trying to over perfect it. Now, the songs they released was All My Life was September in 2002 that came out. The album was released in October 2002. And boy, I remember when that song came out, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on this album back then. Times Like These was released next in January of 2003. That's got a big following, more of a softer song, I guess. Low, they actually released Low in June of 2003. Very heavy rock. And then finally, the song Have It All was September of 2003. And like I said, they went on to win the Grammy for best.
I think the thing I gotta say about Foo Fighters, what I like about Foo Fighters, they're great what I call driving music. I go to Fargo once in a while for football games when Abby was at school with Midgie. We had those long car rides for some odd reason. You want to go to Duluth or whatever. They're a good one to have in because they're good car driving music.
And like I said, this the CD that I bought, I think, was nearly wore out the one I had in my car from listening to this very album. And I didn't skip around. It was the old put it in and press play and just let it cycle. Every song is good. Now, seeing this band in concert, I've seen them 3 or 4 times, is an amazing thing to see. And this album really was the one that took them to that next level, I think. That's what I've got for the album of the week review there.
All right. Little teaser for next week. The holiday season coming up on us here.
Yes.
We're going to do a little different format for that week. That's all we got to say. Probably a little shorter episode. It's going to be more music oriented. It'll be songs. I'll tell you that right there. So we if you like the sports part, please still listen to get more music input to see where we come from on that end. It's going to be more music oriented. We've got a band we've picked out. We're going to dive deep into a band.
Deep dive.
Yes. Deep dive, because they've been around for a while, so we got a lot of stuff to dive into.
A lot of material. It should be pretty good. We're going to record that on Friday of next week.
Yep.
Release that for the 4th of July weekend for all those fans out there listening to the show, driving home from their weekend trip. They'll have lots to listen to here.
Yes. And we'll
we are. I don't say it enough, Andy, but we gotta mention that we are still the fastest growing podcast in all of Western Carver County.
Western Carver County, yes.
We're getting more and more listeners, but please, thanks for tuning in. We do have a YouTube page. We've got an Instagram, Twitter, and Anchor, and a blog. So there's lots of information out there. But
yep. And we enjoy the feedback. We enjoy feedback.
Recommendations.
And we're not afraid. If you hear us talking, going, "Hey, you clowns don't talk about football very much." Well, if you want to come and be a contributor about football when that season starts, or hockey playoff,
I did get a request.
Stanley Cup. Let us know.
I did get a recommendation.
Yes.
More golf, PGA, and even trap shooting. High school trap shooting.
That's this weekend.
Sport, and we don't cover it at all. That was brought up as well. So we've always got things
State
like
trap shooting is this weekend. That's why I didn't bring it up, because it was going on now. So that would be my page 2, wrap up the season for high school sports. This next week we page 2. We got the spring sports summary. I feel we'll kind of go over through all the champions on that. Hopefully next year's sports that were spring sports, we played in the spring, and fall sports we played in the fall, and winter in the winter. And get back to normal. We'll see with that. But yeah, hockey's coming up. The Stanley Cup Finals coming up. NBA Finals coming up. We know nothing on it. If you got 2 cents you want to put in and you're an expert, if you could spell hockey, you're an expert compared to us. So let us know. We'll have you on when the finals start. Give your predictions and who to look for and who to watch for.
We basically cover the Seattle Kraken.
The Kraken, because that's cool. The Kraken's cool. And
a cool logo.
It's new. It's exciting. It's hip.
It's hip like us.
Yes, it is.
I do follow a gentleman hoping to get on the air for interview here for Town Ball Baseball. He's tracking this season amateur baseball, the best hair, the best flow, the best salad, kind of like the hockey hair and hockey. I think he's going to put together the top 10 amateur baseball players with the longest, wildest hair. And so
you are not in that race.
No, not me. No, but there are some good ones. And I'm going to get him on an interview because it's some good stuff.
There's one thing I heard when I was at the town ball game at Delano a couple weeks ago. I don't want to call it a chant. I don't want to call it a rip on someone. Someone from the crowd yelled out about the pitcher. They're hanging like boogers. Never heard that one before. I was laughing.
And maybe that's a Delano thing. I don't know.
Maybe it's a Delano thing, so I'm asking it. Is it new to me? Is it new? I mean, has it been around for a while? I've just always missed it.
Maybe a generational thing.
Yeah, get to be my age. Yeah, forget. Thanks.
We cover we're in the over 50 category here. So
You
that's
are.
all I've got for this week. Do you have anything else?
No, just next week's the special episode going into the 4th of July. And then after that, like I said, this Thursday on page 2 is going to be high school wrap up. Next Thursday will be all-star game wrap up. And then I don't know after that. I'm just kind of winging it.
It won't be long before we'll be announcing live from the Carver County Fair here in a couple of weeks.
Yes. And end of July, Watertown's Rails to Trails Festival. We are in communication with a couple places to have the show recorded there, possibly in front of a live studio audience.
We're
Not
expanding.
related.
We're expanding. So these summer events could be a fun deal as well.
Yes.
Thanks everyone. Have a good week.
We'll talk to you later. Thank you.
See ya.